This segment of Naperville Sports Weekly is brought to you by the Daily Herald.
We're sitting here at Waubonsie Valley's pool deck here with Coach Jeff Davis for the boys water polo team. Coach, thank you for giving us a couple minutes of your time today.
Thank you for joining us today.
So let's talk about the team. A little bit of a struggle here so far, talking off camera. 3 wins at this point in the season. You have a lot of talent coming back. You're a first-year coach, so you're sort of still scouting what you have. What's that process been like, kind of learning the players' tendencies, introducing a new philosophy? As a first-year coach, what's that sort of like?
We have a very young team. We'll be graduating 3 seniors this year, and we're looking to possibly improve in all parts of water polo. Most of the boys this year have been, most of the boys in the past years played on JV. We only have 2 returning field players for varsity, and the rest of them were brought up from JV. So there's a lot of work to be done, but we're very excited to get this season going, and we're very excited for the next month and a half to see what we can bring to this warrior school, the Waubonsie Valley.
That's a good philosophy to have. It's not really how you start in water polo, obviously, as it is with any sport. It's how you finish. When you get to sectionals, are you sort of hitting your stride at that time in a month and a half or 2 months, like you said? What's the difference from your point of view early on this season? You only seen about 12 actual games so far, but from your point of view, looking at the team, what's the difference between this team when it wins versus when it loses?
I'd say just the way that we approach the game, coming in knowing that we have a set plan. No matter what, we're trying to give it our all. We have set plays that we're going to run, but sometimes the name of the school intimidates us, going up against both Naperville's as well as Aniqua. It's not so much the being bigger, but just the name will intimidate us, and we got to get over that hump, and we have to play our own game.
As a first-year coach, I always like to ask first-year coaches, what sort of background do they bring in their respective sports? And you have a lot of background actually in water polo. You know the area well. Tell us a little bit about your experience playing water polo, coaching water polo, and the experience that you've had around the western suburbs area.
I grew up in Schaumburg. I played water polo there for 2 years. Played a little bit of club at Western Illinois, and then right out of college I started coaching up in the northwest suburbs, and I heard about the opportunity here of coaching at Waubonsie Valley High School. I knew that this was an opportunity that I could not pass up. The competition that we have here with all Valley schools, plus the Naperville schools, and St. Charles being in our sectionals, that's a state caliber sectional right there. Most of these schools can compete with the top teams in New Trier, Loyola, Lions, and being able to be a part of this area in water polo is just unbelievable.
You mentioned the competition there, and that's something that I think maybe makes the record for your team at this point a little bit of a misnomer, because you're playing really good teams. You mentioned you played Central, North, the Valley schools. What have you seen out of the competition this year that makes it so tough to maybe get over the initial hurdles that your team is facing so far?
I know right now most of these schools have a lot of experience, where our boys have only a few years of playing, where most of them were JV last year. We have 2 returning varsity field players, and our varsity goalie saw half the time last year. He would switch between him and another goalie. The way that they have improved the past few weeks, I've had officials speak with me saying that they have seen improvements, and they're looking to see how our team will play near the end of the year when we have 2.5 months under our belts, and our full team back, our leadership, and we'll see where everything goes.
You mentioned Cedric Chan there, who was a goalie last year, split with another goalie. Now he's got that full-time gig. What have you seen out of Mr. Chan this year that tells you that that guy's the right choice and that he's been doing a bang-up job?
The leadership of him being a senior, there's no one that I compare him to. Day in and day out, he's one of the first ones here one of the last ones out. Never misses a practice. Even when he's sick, he still wants to come. He wants to figure out how to get better. He's always asking for ways how he can improve him. And we got some other players that are just like that as well.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the other players that have been making impacts for the team. Cameron Steele's another one, Braden Krug, some other guys. What do they bring to the table on an offensive and defensive level?
The years of experience, the communication, knowing how varsity water polo works, knowing that you can't just be a good physical player, how you have to communicate and play as a team, how it's not just about drawing up the best plays, it's about being able to control the ball, about being aware of when to drive and when you need to transition, get back on defense.
And as a first-year coach, you have some coaching experience in other places, but as first-year head coach, doing the thing yourself, it's one thing to maybe expect something out of the athletes there in the pool when they're sort of getting used to you. What sort of difficulties have there been for you getting used to the players and what they have already sort of brought from year to year, that consistency-wise? What's been the difficulty for you adapting to that?
I would say one of the biggest things, but we were able to adjust that real fast, was having a coach last year that we sometimes see different views on things, and we like running our offense and defense different ways, and which is how every coach will be. There's no one set play or one set offense or defense, and adjusting to that took a couple days, but they realized that there's a new coach at helm, and they knew that they needed to adjust.
In the pool, at practice, what are some of the things that you're harping on so that by the time we get 6 weeks into the future, this team is kind of hitting its stride for sectionals?
Right now, I still think that being aware of where the ball is, where your player is, both on offense and on defense. Turnovers right now is a big fall for us. We are creating a lot of turnovers just from not controlling the ball. Being able to see a drive when someone is about to look in to go to the whole set, our players will see it, react, and then know that they need to throw it in, where the other teams right from the start know they see the driver and react right away. So starting to adjust to that will definitely help our program. I know in the beginning of the season we were pretty high on turnovers, and now being in single digits is definitely helping our case.
Well, Coach, I know you're expecting better results as the season goes along. We're looking forward to seeing them, and we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.